Hi, my name is Jeremy. I've been performing magic professionally for about 14 years, and I've been doing these workshops and these classes for about 7 years. I love both. I love performing and I love teaching. I love going on stage and amazing and wowing people, but I also like teaching magic because you can get rid of the stage, connect with someone, just share your art with them. So I love teaching and I love performing. And I do this both for kids and adults. And when I'm teaching or performing magic for kids, it's the type of magic most people think about when they think of magic, right? Stuffed animals, coloring books, colorful silks, loud, colorful props and objects. And I'm not making fun of that type of magic because kids really do enjoy that type of magic. But let's say I'm sitting in a room full of adults and I take a top hat and I put it in the middle of the table. I go, everyone look. Doesn't matter what I pull out. No one really cares. It looks like this gimmicky magic trick. They might clap, they might be entertained, but no one really cares. But instead, let's say I'm in that same room of adults. And instead of a top hat, I do something incredible with a dollar bill that came out of your wallet, my business cards, a deck of cards sitting on my friend's desk. That type of magic is a lot more organic, a lot more natural, and therefore I think a lot more impactful. So that's the type of magic we're gonna learn today. Magic that would make sense for you to perform in your everyday life. So you're at the bar this weekend, you're having a dinner with friends, you're out at a barbecue, you're having a client meeting. You'll have something natural, organic, impactful, and magical to show them. That's not to say that kids won't enjoy these tricks, or if you're asked to do a talent show on stage, you couldn't do these tricks. And we'll talk about different ways you can present and script these tricks depending on your audience. So if you're performing for kids or a group of people or one person or an entire auditorium, you'll have something to show them. But my goal for you is you're hanging out with adults and you have something magical to show them. Some of the tricks we learn, we'll use a little bit more sleight of hand, some will use less sleight of hand. Now, I don't anticipate anybody watching this having the goal to be a career magician, so I'm not gonna teach you sleight of hand that would take you days or weeks or months or years to practice. I usually call these Netflix tricks, right? Next time you're sitting in front of TV, you're sitting watching Netflix, the time is already carved out. You're already sitting there, practice some of the sleights and some of the moves that we're gonna be learning, and then within 2 or 3 days, you'll be ready to perform for people. So don't be discouraged if you learn the secret and then feel, well, this is not magical. I won't be able to fool anybody with this. It does take a little bit of practice. Again, not weeks or months or years, just a day or two until it starts to feel really smooth and magical. So the way it's gonna work, I'm gonna first perform the trick so you can see what it looks like, and then we'll go over the secret. Now I understand that I said these are gonna be natural, organic tricks you can perform in your everyday life, and this is not a very natural, organic way to perform, but I do want you to see what the tricks look like before you know the secret, and then we'll go over the secret. We're also gonna go over some psychology, some theories, some subtleties on these tricks, not so much that it's boring, but just enough to make it a little bit more interesting and a little bit more magical. So if you see someone else perform these tricks and you decide you wanna go and perform these tricks, it'll be that much more magical. And those subtleties, that psychology, that's usually the difference when a kid sees a magic trick. They go, that was amazing. They run home, they type on YouTube or on Google, what's the secret to the trick I just saw? And very often, they'll find the secret. But when they go and try to perform it for someone, it just looks like a kid doing a magic trick, right? You can have a professional, though, do the exact same trick and it will blow your mind. And the difference usually is those subtleties, that psychology, those theories. So we're not gonna bore you with it, but we'll go over just enough with these tricks to make it a little bit more magical. So like we said, this is gonna be magic that adults would find natural in their everyday life. So for my first trick, I'd like to borrow a dollar bill, a 1, a 5, a 10, a 100. Oh, here we go, a $1 bill. Thank you so much. Now I can tell you obviously don't trust me because you could have given me a 50 or a 100, but you gave me a 1, that's fine. It'll work with the 1. And the reason is because most bills are laid out the same way. So I wanna show you a few things about the $1 bill. So if you look, there's a 1 in each corner. And that doesn't matter if it's a 50 or a 20, you always have that denomination in each corner. You have the president or some historical figure in the middle. You have the serial number over here, matches over here. On some of the larger bills, it's actually in that position. On the back of the bill, it also has the 1 in each corner. It says 1 in the middle. You have these 2 little symbols and pictures here. But if you take your pen and push it right through, there's magically a hole in your $1 bill. Yay! No, that's not magic. Anyone could take a pen, poke a hole in a $1 bill. The magical part is trying to fix it so I don't give you back a broken bill. The way I'm gonna fix it is I'm gonna count to 3 and I need you to blow on it. Here we go, 1, 2, 3. Nope, still there. Blow a little bit harder, here we go, 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Because I know it doesn't look like it, but if you look really, really closely, you'll see that your bill is completely fine. Take a look, it's your bill, make sure there's no hole in it. And that's the trick. So now we're going to go through the secret to the pen through bill trick. We'll go through the secret and then we'll talk about some of the things you can do with it. Here is the secret. That's the secret. Now maybe you're jumping ahead of me, but because this is a magnet, I can take a bill, take the magnet, go like this, and there's a hole in the bill. Now obviously I can't just do that right in front of you because it's so obvious, you see exactly what's going on. So I'm going to show you what I did and what I said to get it in this position in a natural way. Now what I'm saying while I do it is not as important as what I'm doing, and I don't mean it like you can do this trick silently. I mean, depending on the situation and the audience that you have, you might want to script it a little bit differently. And we'll go into that in a few minutes, but this is what you do. You hold the pen. Well, if you open the package, you'll see you have a pen. When you take the cover off, you'll see that one side is real. There is ink in there, stuck on there. You put the cover on. The other side is a magnet. And this is how you start. Now, before I go into the explanation, you might think to yourself, well, wait a second, Jeremy, you said these are going to be tricks you can do, natural, everyday items, everyday tricks. And this is not a natural, organic looking object. And you're right. This is some weird, funny looking object. But when I find that real side and put the cover on it, this is what an uncovered pen looks like. So I'm not going to my audience, I have this magical pen passed down from generations. I'm not doing that, right? This is a pen. It's in my shirt pocket. It's on a stack of papers. It's in my cup full of pens. So yes, even though this is a trick object, you treat it like an uncovered black Bic pen because that's all it is. So you cover the real side, you have the magnet exposed, and you're going to hold it in your right hand or the dominant hand, whatever hand you write in writing position, and you're going to use it as a pointer. You hold the bill in your left hand and you start pointing to a few things on the front of the bill. Now exactly what you're pointing to is not so important, and I'll explain what I mean. But for now, we'll just point to each one. We'll point to the president. You'll point to the serial number, some of these symbols. Now I want to turn the bill over to show you the back of the bill. So the way I do that, I hold my right hand straight. I take my left hand. I use my fingertips to roll it over the pen. And now the fingers of my left hand clamp onto the tip. And then I bring up the empty pen. Now I don't want you to see that the tip is missing, but I don't want to be weird or suspicious. So I slide my fingers down just a little bit and I start pointing to the back of the bill. I say there's one in each corner here. It says one in the middle, but when I take my pen and push it right through, the magnet automatically connects and it looks like I just punctured a hole in the bill, right? Now to fix it, all I have to do to fix it is pull it out to the side because it's a magnet, right? So I'll show you a stealthy way to do this, but you're going to pull it to the side. You put the bill down. That's what the audience wants to see. That's their bill. It came from their wallet. You give it to the audience. While they're looking at the bill, you take 1 or 2 seconds. You take that magnetic tip, put it in your palm, disconnect it with your fingertips, take the cover off, drop everything. You then want to put the secret magnet tip in your pocket, but if you put one hand in your pocket, it looks weird and suspicious. So you put both hands in your pocket, you take a step back, it looks like you're being fair, and this is how you end. With the regular dollar bill that came from their wallet is now going back into their wallet, and at this point, a totally normal, examinable pen. The only tricky part of this pen is the magnet, which is already in your pocket, and you're left in such a natural, organic position. So I'm going to run through that again quickly. I'm going to give you some subtleties to make it even more magical. Here we go. You show them, again, exactly what you're pointing to is not important. You can say there's one in each corner, president in the middle, turn the bill over. That's when you disconnect the tip. You make sure they don't notice that it's missing. You start pointing to the back of the bill, and when you're ready, you push it right through the bill. At this point, there's a hole in the bill. Now, when I fix it, I do not want to go like this because then the magnet will fall off. I always want to pull it to the side. But you might say, well, wait a second. If I just pull it to the side, they're going to notice that, right? And you're right, they might. So there's a principle in magic that we use, which is the larger motion covers a smaller motion. So I take my left hand and I make this big circle motion. That doesn't do anything, but while I'm making that big circle motion, that's when I take my right hand and I move it to the side and it looks like this. It looks like it melts right through. I put the bill down, that's what they want to see, and then I do that move to get rid of the tip. Now, That last part, a lot of people are very scared of that, right? They just say, you know what, I'm gonna just take the pen, put it in my pocket. And the reason they're scared is because if you look, it's a little bit illogical. You have the tip here, and now it switches, right? I wouldn't worry about it because one, you're doing it on the offbeat. The trick already ended. Also, they're paying attention to the bill. That's their bill. That's what they want to see. So you have a second or two to do that. And it is important to do that move because at the end of the trick, they want to see the dollar bill. That's their bill. They want to see it. They want to inspect it. Is there a hole in it? After they look at the bill, they might want to look at the pen, and you do not want them to ask, oh, can I see the pen? You want it to be sitting there. And just the fact that it's sitting there, half the time they won't even touch it because of course it's a regular pen. It wouldn't be sitting there if it wasn't, right? The other half of the people, they will want to touch it. Go and let them. They can pull out. There's an ink line in there. They'll see it's a normal regular pen because the only tricky part, that magnet, is already in your pocket. So definitely it is important at the end of the trick to take that magnetic tip, put in your fingertips, disconnect it, and then drop it in your pocket. Okay, there's a few other things I wanted to point out about this trick. I kept saying what you're saying is not as important as what you're doing, and I'll explain what I mean. Depending on the situation, you might want to script this trick differently. Let's say I ask someone to borrow a dollar bill, any denomination, and they give me a $100 bill. I might perform it a little bit differently. I might say, oh my God, I've never done this with a $100 bill, but you know what? Let me try, let me see. I poke a hole in it. I go, oh my God, sir, I am so sorry. That's never happened before. Let me see if I can fix it. Hold on, I learned something once. Oh my God, it's fixed. I'm so sorry. Now, if you do it that way, it's almost like the magic happened to you, right? This trick works with any piece of paper, right? So let's say you know someone in school. They can give you a book report, a thesis paper, a homework assignment. You can have a $10 million check, a $2 million contract, any piece of paper that means something to someone, you can do this trick. And I like to use money because money automatically, intrinsically always means something to people, but you can do this with any piece of paper. Now, I kept saying before, exactly what you're saying while you perform this trick is not so important, and I'll explain now what I mean, right? You had one option. If someone gives you a 1 versus 100, you might script it differently, or the book reports. But let's say I'm hanging out with my friend who's in banking or finance. His name is Bill because I think that's funny. So I would perform it this way. I'd go, Bill, you probably know this because you're in banking and finance, but I just found this out. I just found out why the US Mint keeps making new bills. They have the old bills, new bills. The reason is because they keep adding these anti-counterfeit measures. So if you look at some of the original ones, you have the serial number always matches. It's always written out twice. That first letter always matches over here. You have these intricate little symbols. On the back of the bill, you also have these little intricate symbols and watermarks and threads and fibers, but you can actually take your pen, push it right through those threads and fibers, but it doesn't matter because part of these anti-counterfeit measures is that the bill can actually heal itself. So if you look really, really closely at your bill, you'll see it actually starts to heal itself just like that. Take a look. Now, if you do it this way, Bill might take the pen, start poking holes in it. It's a little pseudoscientific. It just feels a little bit differently. So it doesn't matter exactly what you're saying as long as you're saying something. It just depends what effect you want and what you want your audience to see. I'll point out one more thing about this trick. Now, let's say I do this trick for a whole room of people. I start from the beginning. I say blah, blah, blah. There's a 1 in each corner. There's a president in the middle. On the back of the bill, there's a 1 in each corner. But if I take my pen and I push it right through, there's a hole in the bill. Now, at this point of the trick, if there are any magicians in the audience watching, they're impressed. They clap to themselves. They go, good job, Jeremy. He did the sleight of hand. He poked it, the hole. He connected the pen. They're impressed. But any non-magicians, nothing magical happened. I even say that out loud. I say nothing magical happened. Anyone can take a pen, poke a hole through a bill. And the reason that I stress that, the reason I stress it during the performance, and the reason I'm stressing this moment now is because right here at this moment, a lot of newer magicians get very scared. Get very nervous because they're saying one thing, there's a hole in the bill, but they're lying. There's no hole. So they get really nervous and they rush this moment and it looks like this. They go, there's a 1 in each corner, there's a president in the middle, there's a 1 on the back, it says 1 in the middle, but if you push your pen right through, magically there's a hole in the bill, now it's fixed. And the audience is left thinking, well, I didn't really see the hole, you probably just held it in a funny way, and you don't want the audience to think that this trick is just you're holding it at funny angles. You want them to really see there's a hole in it, which is why I said to the audience member, blow on it 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait, it didn't work. You know what? Blow on it again. Because then the audience is thinking, well, did it really not work? What's going on? They pay more attention. You don't have to fix it that way, but do stress this moment, right? You don't want to get too close. You don't want the audience to get grabby. So I almost I act confused. I say, blow on it, 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's weird. Didn't work. So I'm looking at it. Clearly, this is not a trick based on angles. Clearly, that pen is really through the bill. After everyone sees that, you say, you know what? Blow on it again. 1, 2, 3. You show them the bill, drop the pen, and everything is fair and examinable. I'd like to borrow a dollar bill from somebody. Here we go. Perfect, a $1 bill. Now, I'm going to show you one of the tricks I get asked to do the most as a magician. It starts with a $1 bill. You can see the back. You can see the front. Now, all I have to do to make this trick work is fold it in half. I actually have to fold it in half again. Now, to make this trick work, I fold it one more time and I blow on it. And that $1 bill looks a little bit more like a $100 bill. There you go. So I'm going to show you the secret of how to turn a $1 bill into a $100 bill, a magician's bread and butter, right? Now, there are different methods magicians will have to do this, but I'll go take a step back and say that anytime a magician produces something or anytime a magician switches something, the thing the magician ends with obviously started somewhere. So the question is, well, where did the $100 bill start? Now, some magicians, when they do this trick, they'll take a $100 bill and a $1 bill and they'll tape it together. And they'll hold it in a certain way so you don't realize it's the same bill. Other magicians would take a $100 bill and hold it in their hand in a very funny way, right? We're not doing either of that. I'm going to show you how I did this trick, which I'll be honest is a little bit more sleight of hand intensive, but it looks really fair, really clean, and there are some really cool things you can do with it. So the secret of turning a 1 into a 100, here it is. This is the secret. It's called a thumb tip. Some of you might have seen this before. Some of you might think it looks like something else, but it's called a thumb tip because it goes on your thumb. Now, these came out about 100 years ago. When these thumb tips came out, they were the coolest thing. Magicians can put them on. They can make things disappear, switch places. It was incredible. Now, a lot of newer magicians don't like to use these thumb tips, and the reason maybe it's obvious, maybe not, doesn't really look like my thumb. And you're right. If the trick was, look, I have 10 normal fingers, 2 normal thumbs, you're right. That's probably not going to fool anybody. But if you do this trick correctly, and we'll go through how to do it correctly, no one's ever going to see it. And I don't mean it like the hand's quicker than the eye. Literally, they're not going to see it because I'm either standing like this, or I'm standing like this, or I'm standing like this. They're never actually going to see it, okay? Now, a lot of magicians, when they use a thumb tip, they'll put in their fist, right? Maybe you've seen magicians on YouTube or clowns do this. They'll take a handkerchief or a silk. They'll put it in their fist. Really, it goes in their thumb. They'll shove it in. Then once that silk is all the way in, they take their thumb, they push it in. I'll expose what they do. It's sitting over here. And they go, it's gone. Right? Now, that's not what we're going to use it for. But I also don't want you to be afraid to use these. These are one size fits all. It doesn't matter if it's white, black, green, blue, yellow, purple. Female magicians sometimes put nail polish on. Male magicians will paint it the exact skin tone. It really doesn't matter. These are one size fits all. Again, they just kind of make it look like your thumb so that way you understand the orientation. But as long as it doesn't fall off, you're good to go. So this is how it works. Now I'm going to show you a big picture of how this trick works, and then we'll break it down and we'll talk about some of the cool things you can do with it. So we take the bill that we're going to be producing, the $100 bill. Let's say in this case. Now what I'm about to do, I don't do in front of the audience. No one sees me do this. I do this beforehand, backstage. I take my thumb, put it in the top right corner. I'm looking at the back of the bill like this. Now, you don't have to be super precise. You just don't want to start reorienting it. So your thumb, top right corner, you're looking at the back of the bill, and then you're going to fold it a few times. Now, first, I'm going to do big picture just to show you. You're going to fold it once, twice, like that, and then you put it in the thumb tip. Now, this is how you do the switch. And I'll break this down, but I start with the $100 bill folded up here, and the $1 bill nice and big. And the audience is over here. So you guys are all backstage, behind the scenes. I fold it once, fold it again, fold it again. At a certain point, I take my left thumb, I slide the thumb tip to the left, So the audience can still see the 1, I see the 100. I fold the bill the audience can see down once. Now I turn this whole packet over, and that's what makes the bill switch. So technically the audience is now looking at the $100 bill. They might not realize because it's so small, so I unfold that outer bill once, twice. I shove that $1 bill back in the thumb, and now these last 2 unfolds I can do nice and slowly. Now all I expect for you to follow it from that is to see that I started with the $1 bill nice and big, and the 100 folded. And after those folds, which I'm about to break down for you, we end with the $100 bill nice and big and the $1 bill folded in here. And this is how we do it. Leave the thumb tip on the table for now. You start with the $100 bill. Your thumb goes in the top right corner, and you're gonna fold it a few times. Now every fold goes away from you. So you're gonna fold left side away from you, bottom up and away from you, and you do those same 2 folds again. Left side away from you, bottom up and away from you, and you can crease it in between each time. Don't worry if it's not perfect. After that 4th fold, you leave the bill on the bottom of your thumb, and you put in the thumb tip, just like that. Now, if you have very small fingers, the thumb tip might go all the way to the base of your thumb. If you have big fingers, it might not even cover your knuckles. The bill might be sticking out. Doesn't matter, as long as it doesn't fall off. You're good to go. So that's your setup. You do that backstage, behind the scenes, and now this part, the actual bill switch, happens in front of your audience. So you face your audience. The audience is looking here. This is all backstage, behind the scenes. Your thumb is in the top right corner, just like before, except this time you have the dollar bill, the $100 bill under the thumb. Now you're gonna fold it just like before, very similar. The first 3 folds are exactly the same, which is left, bottom, left. Left, bottom, left. Now after that 3rd fold, your left hand is gonna act like a shield. So you take your left thumb, you slide the thumb tip to the left, and that $100 bill should stay under your right thumb. Now, you should keep your hands together, but I'm separating my hands just to show you. This is why I say it's a little bit more sleight of hand intensive. There's just a lot going on. My left thumb is holding the thumb tip, my right hand is holding these bills. Now I line up that $100 bill with the bottom bill that the audience can see, and then I fold the bill that the audience can see towards them. Now all I have to do to make these bills switch places is to turn this whole packet over like that. Now they might not realize the bill switched because it's so small, so I unfold just the outer bill that the audience can see once. I unfold it a 2nd time. I shove the thumb tip over that $1 bill, and now these last 2 unfolds I do nice and slowly with just my fingertips, and I can even let them take the bill out of my hand because there's nothing to see here. Now I'm gonna run through that again very quickly, and I'll give you a few subtleties to make it a little bit smoother. So we have the $100 bill. This is the setup. You don't have to do this in front of anybody. Thumb in the top right corner, left, bottom, and you put it right into the thumb tip. Now, this is the switch. This part does happen in front of the audience. They're looking at the front of the bill. You're looking at the back of the bill. Now, if I wanted, before I do the folds, I can turn the bill around like this. So if you look, this doesn't do anything as part of the trick, but it's a nice way of showing that it's a normal bill. You can see both sides and your hands are empty. Because remember, one method magicians have is to take a 2-sided bill. So obviously when I do this, this is clearly a $1 bill. Another method is that they have things hiding in their palms, right? So when I do this, it discounts that method also. So it's a nice, fair way to start this trick. So you show both sides, and now you're ready to do the switch. Thumb in the top right corner, first 3 folds are exactly the same. Left, bottom, left. Left, bottom, left. After that 3rd fold, take your left thumb, slide the thumb tip to the left, line that $100 bill up with the bottom of the bill, fold the bill that the audience can see towards them. Now, I said all you have to do to make these bills switch places is to turn this packet over. But you might say, well, wait a second, they'll notice that. It's kind of obvious. So there's a principle in magic that we learned before. The larger motion covers a smaller motion. So I'll often, while I'm turning it over, go like this. I'll blow on it. It's this non-suspicious, magical gesture, and it just gives me a 2nd or 2 of coverage. So I'll blow on it while I turn it over. I unfold the outer bill once. I unfold the outer bill a 2nd time. Now, shoving that thumb tip on that $1 bill is another clunky part of this trick, so I'll often blow on it again, just to give myself an extra 2nd or 2. And now these last two unfolds I can do nice and slowly, nice and fairly. I can show both sides just like before, and then I can let them take it out of my hand and look at it. The folds are going to seem very nuanced, very specific. It's just so that way everything matches up later, but it's also very repetitive. So the first 1 or 2 times you're doing it might get a little frustrating, you might be a little confused, but just do it 3, 4, 5 times and it'll start to click and it'll start to feel really smooth and magical. Practice it in front of a mirror. Make sure whatever you can see, know that the audience can see, so make sure you don't see anything you're not supposed to, and it will start to look and feel really magical. So now that you know the secret to turning 1 into 100, you might think, well, wait a second. This trick doesn't really make any sense. If a magician can really turn a 1 into 100, why is he not doing that all day? Why is he doing anything but just making money? It's a very silly question, but magicians are a very silly group. So they try to answer this question. And a lot of magicians, when they do this money manipulation trick, they'll say to their audience, I know you've heard magicians can manipulate money, and it's true, we really can. But for some reason, we can only turn larger bills into smaller. Look, let me show you. They'll take 100, turn it into a 10, or a 50 into a 5, or they'll turn a 20 into a 1. So the audience is left thinking, wow, magicians really can manipulate money, but I understand why they don't do it so often. Just once in a while to prove that they can. Now, you might think that's a more logical way to perform this trick, but for me, if I'm performing for kids, it's just paper, right? But for adults, $1 bill means something. $100 bill means something else. It's a little more impactful. So even though going from 100 to a 1 might be more logical, I find it anticlimactic and I choose not to do it that way, but you might like that performance better. Now, there are a lot of different things you can do with this trick. You don't only have to turn hundreds into ones or ones into hundreds. You can do something like this. Let's say you're hanging out with Bill from the first trick, who's in banking or finance. You can say something like, Bill, you're always trying to sell me all these fancy financial products from your fancy financial bank. I don't need any of that. I do all of my banking, Bill, in a magical bank. So you can see I have here a check for $100. All I have to do to deposit it is fold it in half. Fold it in half again. But if I wanted to cash this check, I just fold it again, fold it one more time, and that $100 check looks like a little bit more like a $100 bill. Here you go, Bill. Take it out of your hand. Now, the reason that works is because a check is just about the same size as a dollar bill. So you can take 2 pieces of paper, cut them out about the same size as a dollar bill, write one message on one, another message on the other, and then you can make them switch. So if you're doing this for a client, or a potential client, you can say something like, you guys are working with these people, our competitors. You have the competitor name on it. But after magic or whatever story you want to tell them, you're going to end up with us. And it just looks like the ink just changed. So you can manipulate money. You can do ones into hundreds, hundreds into ones, or 2 different pieces of paper. Again, I always like to do money tricks because money means something to people, and manipulating money is just a very cool thing to do. Now, people ask me when I teach this trick, they go, well, Jeremy, I understand how it works, but when or how am I supposed to do this? Meaning if I borrow $1 from someone and I turn into 100, what do I give it to them? I don't want to lose money. I don't want to keep it because then they'll lose money. What do I do? And then they go, I know, I'll turn it back. Because technically the $1 bill is in the thumb. It's all set up. They'll say they want to turn it back. Now, I always advise against that because there's a saying in magic, once is a show, twice is a lesson. So the first time you do this trick, it's magic. But if you do it again, it kind of turns into a puzzle. They try to figure out it's not as magical. So even though you're set up, I never recommend turning the bill back. So the question still stands, how or when should I do this trick? So I'm going to show you guys how I usually do this trick and the situation I'm usually in. It's probably not how you're going to choose to do it, but then I'll give you some suggestions. So when I do this trick, someone usually asks me, Jeremy, can you walk around our company party, do some magic for all the people we're going to have? I say, no problem. Before that gig starts, I take a $100 bill, I set it up just like I showed you, put in the thumb. Now, this doesn't have to be the first trick that I do. I don't have to walk around with this on my thumb all day. I can take my thumb out, I'm all set, and I put it in my back pocket. Now I'm walking around the party, showing this group of people some card tricks, this group of people some coin tricks. I'm reading minds over here. Now at some point, inevitably during that gig, someone will go to me, Jeremy, can you turn my 1 into 100? They think they're so funny. I look at them. I go, I can try. They go, really? I go, yeah. I take the bill from them while my right hand is in my pocket. I put it in the thumb. I take their bill. I go, let me try. And I'm all set up. Right? I'm all set up. I turn their 1 into 100. I even let them take it out of my hand. They're blown away. I take it back. I go, thank you so much for the tip. I really appreciate it. Put the $100 bill in my pocket, take the thumb tip, put everything in my pocket, and then I'll say, you know what? I do owe you $1. I'll take out my wallet. I'll give them $1. So they got to see some really cool magic. They didn't lose any money. I didn't lose any money. And they got to see some on-the-spot impromptu magic. Now, that's usually how I perform this trick, but like I said, it's probably not going to be how you perform this trick. And the reason is I'm assuming most of you are not corporate walk-around magicians, which is fine. So my suggestion to you of when you should do this money manipulation trick is only do this trick when you have to give someone money. So you're at the restaurant. The waiter brings you your bill. It's $41. They walk away. You take a 50. You set it up. It should take you 3 or 4 seconds. You set it up. Waiter comes back. You hold out a $20 bill. You go, thank you so much for the meal. They go, sir, it was $41. You go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Here's a 50. Keep the change. It's magic. Let's say you owe your friend $10. You know you owe them $10. You take a $10 bill, you set it up in the thumb, you hold out a 5, you go, Dan, here are those $5 I owed you. Jeremy, you owed me 10. Really? Oh, no problem. Here's 10. They take it out of your hand. It's magic. People always ask me, how do you meet people using magic, right? So let's say you're at the bar. You go to the bartender. Thank you so much for the drinks. Here's $1. You know what? You had a really hard night. Here's 5. They take it. It's magic. Now, there are some good ways to do this trick, and there are some better ways to do this trick. I'm going to give you a quick story right now. Actually, I'm going to do 2 different versions of this very quick story, and then I'll explain how it relates to this trick, how some ways might be better than others. So, the first version of the story related to this trick goes like this. A man named Bob wakes up in the morning. Bob is getting ready to meet with his friend Dave. Bob gets dressed, puts on his clothing, but right before Bob leaves the house, he secretly takes a hamburger and puts it in his pocket. Doesn't say anything. He goes out, he meets with his friend. After about 10 minutes, Bob, with the secret burger in his pocket, turns to his friend and goes, hey Dave, check this out. Here's a burger. Dave is like, oh, cool. Second version of the story, very similar, goes like this. Just like before, a man named Bob wakes up in the morning, he gets dressed, gets ready to meet with his friend Dave. Just like before, right before Bob leaves the house, he secretly takes a hamburger and puts it in his pocket. This time, Bob goes and meets with his friend Dave. After about 40 minutes, they're just hanging out, walking, talking. Dave turns to Bob. What's the secret burger in his pocket? He goes, Bob, I am starving. I could really go for a burger right now. Bob goes, burger? No problem. Here's a burger. Now, both of those versions of that story are very silly, but can you see why the second version is a little bit more impactful than the first? The first version of that story related to this trick, the dollar bill trick, would be like, let's say you're at the bar, you go to the person next to you, hey, let me borrow $1, I want to show you something cool. They give you $1, you turn into 100. Now, I'm not making fun of that performance because that is cool and they will be impressed, but no one has to see it. Right? It's like taking a top hat, putting it on a table, and hey, everyone look. Someone looks away, looks back, there's a bunny. They don't really care, right? Second version of that story related to this trick, which I think might be a better way to do it. Let's say you walk into a bodega or a mini mart, a little convenience store. This is real life. Real life. You walk into a convenience store, you put a couple things on the register, the guy's checking you out, he goes, it's $7.50. So you go, I have a $1 bill. Guy goes, no, it's $7.50. You go, well, if I fold it in half, it's kind of like 2. Guy's getting angry. Well, if I fold it in half again, it's like 4. He's getting angry. It's $7.50. You go, 1 second. Here's a 10. That should cover it. Now you're thinking, oh, okay. You started with the 10 in your thumb. You held the 1. You did the folds. You did the move. You switched it. You ended with the 1 there. You held the 10. Got it. But this bodega owner, you just changed his life. He's going to go home, tell his wife, his kids, his friends, his family, his neighbors. He's going to go, I was working. This guy came in, didn't have enough money, and he used magic. And the reason it's so impactful is because this bodega owner, this store owner, he's so invested in this moment, right? Like I said, you put a top hat on the table, you look away, look, no one really cares, right? But here, there's no gimmicks, there's no tricks, it's just magic. So you can turn ones into hundreds, hundreds into ones, checks into money, but the most impactful way to do this trick might just be turning a 1 into a 10, depending on the situation. So like I said, you do not need to keep the thumb tip on your thumb all day, but I do recommend keep it in your pocket, keep it in your desk at work, keep it in your backpack when you're going out, and next time you have to give someone money, take the bill that you have to give them, fold it up, takes 3 or 4 seconds, put in the thumb tip, hold out the wrong bill, oh, here's that money, let them point it out to you that it's the wrong bill, you go, oh, I'm so sorry, 1 second, switch it, and then let them take it out of your hand, and it's a really cool way to do some money manipulation on the spot whenever you need. Now this would not be a complete magic workshop if we didn't learn at least a card trick, so that's what we're going to do now. I have here a deck of cards. I would ask somebody to take the deck and give it a nice fair shuffle. Now, I would ask someone from the audience, take any card you want. If you think somehow I'm manipulating your choice or somehow I kind of snuck a peek at it, let me know, call me out on it. We'll do it again. So when you're ready, take any card. Let's say you take this one. Doesn't matter. I won't look at it. Okay, that's your card. Now I'm going to have you put your card back in the middle, just like that. Now, all I have to do to find your card is read your mind. I'm going to spread the cards like this so you can see all of them. Right? Well, some of them are kind of blocked, but you can see all of them. Now I want you to look up and down, up and down, look up and down, and I'm going to guess your card is actually right here. That was it. We're going to go over the secret now to the card trick you just saw. It's classic, right? Magician's bread and butter. Pick a card, put it back, magician finds it. Now, before I give you the secret, there are a few cool things about this trick. The first cool thing is that it really is a regular deck of cards. You can use my deck, your friend's deck. You're sitting with a client. There can be a deck of cards on their desk. You can even be missing a few cards. Doesn't matter. You can do this trick. The second cool thing is that it really is fairly shuffled. Because even with the regular deck, some magicians will have it set up in a certain way. You don't have to worry about that. And the third cool thing is that it really is a totally free choice. So it's a shuffled, normal deck, totally free choice, and it's a really fair way to start a card trick. The secret is that as soon as the audience mixes it up and gives it back to you, you just take a quick peek at the bottom card. That's not the card they're going to take. You don't tell them that you know what it is. That's going to help you find their card later. It's actually the key to finding their card. So we actually call that a key card. So whatever that bottom card is, that's your key card. In this case, my key card is the Queen of Hearts. So I just remember Queen of Hearts, Queen of Hearts, Queen of Hearts. I say pick any card you want. Let's say they pick the Jack of Clubs. It doesn't matter. I just remember Queen of Hearts, Queen of Hearts. I say put your card back. I say we're going to cut your card into the middle of the deck, which just means taking a chunk of cards, putting it down, and losing it in the middle. But my key card is actually going right on top of their card. So all I have to do is spread the deck out, find my Queen of Hearts, and I know that their card is right next to it, the Jack of Clubs. Now I'm going to show that to you again, but I'll throw in a few subtleties. Now, they give you back a shuffle deck. Key card is the Six of Spades. I say pick any card you want. Let's say they pick Jack of Spades. Doesn't matter. I just remember Six of Spades. Now, I don't want to say put your card back on top and then cut it because it's a very suspicious thing to say. A lot of beginners will do that. Put your card back on top. So instead, what I'll usually do is take a chunk of cards, drop it, and say put your card back in the middle. And it looks a lot more like it's going in the middle, and it's still going right underneath my key card, the Six of Spades. So I spread the cards out, find my Six of Spades, and I know that their card is right next to it. Now, once you spread it out and you find your key card, I already know what their card is, but I don't want to just go blah, 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 there it is, because that's boring. So instead, you can reveal it in a ton of different fun ways. One way is you can look at them and say, think about your card, go up and down with just your eyes. I'm going to try to follow your eyes and see, you keep staring subconsciously at the Jack of Spades. Was that your card? Of course it is, because it's next to their key card, but they'll think, oh my God, how did you do that? How did you know? Let's say you're performing for kids. You can say, kid, you just touched one card. I'm going to smell your finger. Now I'm going to sniff all these cards, and I'm going to see which one smells like you. You pretend to sniff all the cards. You go, you know what? That Jack of Spades, that smells like you. Was that your card? Now, of course it is, because it's next to the key card, but these little kids are going to start smelling their fingers, smelling the cards, and it's a really cool way to reveal it. And that presentation, that works for both kids or adults, Depends on the party, but you can have a lot of fun with it. Another thing you can do, people ask you, how do you meet people using magic? So you spread the cards out, you find your key card, let's say it's the King of Clubs, I know their card's the Six of Spades. You can say something like this. I don't know if you know this, but people's pulses, that changes when they get excited. So I'm gonna feel your pulse. Don't give anything away. I'm gonna bring it up and down. Don't give anything away. But I actually keep feeling this pulse jump right on top of this Six of Spades. Was that your card? Now, of course it is because it's next to the key card, but it's a very intimate position to be in. It's very cool, and they're not gonna know how it works. And it's a little pseudoscientific. They might think you actually had this connection with them. If you like that presentation, but you're not interested necessarily in meeting people, you can make it platonic and say, my friend, he's in medical school. He taught me this cool thing about pulses. Let me show you. And you can do it the exact same way. Once the cards are spread out, you can always immediately find what their card is and reveal it in some really cool ways. Now people ask, Jeremy, how do you read somebody's mind, right? So for me, mentalism or mind reading, it's just how you present your magic. So I'm gonna do this exact same key card trick again, but I'm gonna present it as a mentalist or mind reading trick. And it will look or feel a little bit differently. So here we go. Key cards, Jack of Spades. Pick any card you want. Let's say you take this card. Doesn't matter, I do not need to know what it is. We're gonna have you put it back in the middle, just like that. Now I'm gonna try to find your card by reading your mind. Here we go. Actually, you know what? I don't even need the deck. Just think about your card. It's red or black, red or black, red or black. It's black. Don't say if I'm right or not. Club or spade, it's a spade. It's higher, it's low, or high or low. It's kind of high, not too high, like a 10, no, 9. Was it a 9 of spades? Of course it is. Now, if you do it that way, right? I did it very, very quickly. But if you pick the color, then the suit, is it high, is it low? It will really feel like you're reading their mind. Now, the way I did that, just like before, I have my key card, the Six of Spades. I say pick any card you want. Let's say you pick the Ace of Spades, right? The Ace of Spades, put it in the middle, just like before, and it goes right underneath my Six of Spades. Now, all I have to do is spread the deck out, find my Six of Spades, and I know what your card is. So the other reveals, we leave the deck here, right? I'm gonna look at your eyes, I'm gonna feel your pulse, I'm gonna smell your finger. If you wanna read their mind, you find your key card, Six of Spades. Now I know their card is the one next to it, the Ace of Spades. I say, you know what? I don't even need the deck. I'm gonna read your mind. You can pick the color, pick the suit, and it will feel like you're reading their mind. Now, when I do this trick, while I'm performing it, I'll say something like, you're just thinking of a card, right? And then they go, yeah, because they're thinking of a card. And then I'll reveal it. I don't say to them, you picked a card, you put it back, I spread it out, I looked at it, then I moved. I don't do that. I say, you're thinking of a card, and then they say yes. So when people come to me, Jeremy, they go, I was at this magic show. The magician, he told me to think of a card, and he read my mind. How does it work? So there's usually more to it. They just don't remember it, right? Because the magician doesn't review the trick by saying every single step. You picked a card, then you put it back. They just say, you're thinking of a card, right? And, well, yeah, I'm thinking of a card. And then they reveal it. They read your mind. So when I tell this trick to my friend, I say, I was just thinking of a card and he read my mind. So that all is a little bit of subtlety, but it's a really cool, powerful way to read somebody's mind using this key card trick as a mind reading trick. But again, all you have to do is remember your key card, and then once you spread it out, their card is always going to be next to it. Okay, we're gonna shift gears a little bit. We're still hanging out with adults. We're still in the adult world. We just had some kind of business meeting or networking event, and we're gonna exchange business cards because that's what adults do. So I have here 4 business cards. They're all exactly the same, except I numbered them 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm gonna let you choose any one of these 4 business cards that you want. Whichever one you want, that's the one you're gonna take home and keep. Now, I don't want you to think, well, maybe everyone says 3, or if I say 1, he'll kind of move it to the side, make me pick again. No. The number that you want, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4, that's the number you're going to take home and keep. So, Jess, name out number 1, 2, 3, or 4. 3. 3. No problem. Now, like I said, I'm going to prove that I knew you would take card number 3. We'll put it over here. Because look, you could have taken that one, which is why I wrote that one on it. You could have taken that one, which is why I wrote that one on it. Or you could have taken that one, which is why I wrote that one on it. But you didn't. You chose this one, which is why I wrote this one on it. And that's for you. Now, we're going to go through how this trick works, but before we do, you might think to yourself, wait a second, this trick is not so magical. Anyone can do this trick and get it right 25% of the time. And you're right, but that means statistically you'd get it wrong 75% of the time, and no one would do this trick with a 75% failure rate. So even though statistically you'll sometimes get it right, obviously it's magic. So how do I do it? Now, there really are only 4 cards, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the audience really does get to take home and keep the one that they want. Here's the secret. While the front says 1, 2, 3, and 4, the back has an alternating message. That one, this one, that one, this one. And by writing it out like this, that lets you do the trick. So here we go. The front says 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the back says that one, this one, that one, this one. Or this, that, the order doesn't matter. I say pick any card you want. Let's say they say card number 1. I go, no problem. Move it to the side. I don't turn it over. I take the other 3. I turn them over and I go, look, you could have taken that one, which is why I wrote that one on it. Now, what I'm about to do is the only real sleight of hand in this trick. What I want it to look like is I take this packet, turn it over, and I put the card you just saw and put it down. But what I'm actually doing is turning my hand over. I'm actually pushing it up and taking the next card and putting it down. I'll say, or you could have taken that one. So you just saw this card, but you don't realize. Or you could have taken that one, but you didn't. You chose this one. So I'll show that to you again. Let's say you take card number 4, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4, no problem. Card number 4. I take the other 3, turn them over. I go, look, you could have taken this one. I turn my hand over. I make it look like I'm putting it down, but what I'm actually doing is all guarded by the back of my hand. I say, you could have taken this one, right? I'll expose what I'm doing. I push it up, take the next card, put it down. Or you could have taken this one, right? I only have to do that move once, and usually I'll kind of let the next one flash because it looks fair. Or you could have taken this one. So they saw this one, this one, this one. What actually is going on is there were 2 this ones and a that one, which is why they're all face down. So you saw this one, this one, this one, but you chose that one. So when you do this trick, you don't know which one they're going to take if it said this one or that one, but it's always going to be the odd one out. So you can do, let's say you have a computer programmer that you know. You can alternate the message 0, 1, 0, 1, and the trick will end either. You could have taken 0 or 0 or 0, you chose 1. Or you could have taken 1 or 1 or 1, but you chose 0. Now, I wouldn't do your competitor name on one, your name on the other, like the other trick, because you don't know which one they're going to take, but it's always the odd one out, which is why I do this and that. It's pretty neutral, pretty generic, and it's a cool way to give out a business card. Now, if you had a room full of people, 5, 6, 7 people, probably not the best trick to do because other people might want it, but if you had a one-on-one meeting, or there's maybe 2 people and they want to just take one of your business cards, it's a fun way to give it out. Now, I'll mention one last thing. When you're practicing, if you say take 1, 2, 3, or 4, if they take 2 or 3, you just have to change it slightly. And don't think of it, oh, there's 4 separate things to remember. But basically, whatever number they choose, that has to be on top before you put it down. So if they say 1, it's already on top. You just put it down. If they say 4, you don't have to move it to the top. You can just put it down. If they say 2, you move the 1 to the bottom, and then you put the 2 down. And if they say 3, you move the 1 and the 2 to the bottom, and then you put the 3 down. So if they say 3, right, this is not sleight of hand. I don't have to be sneaky. I just take the 1 and the 2, put it to the bottom, and I say number 3, no problem. Take the other 3, turn it over. So you could have taken that one. I do my secret move. You could have taken that one, or you could have taken that one, but you didn't. You chose this one. They take it, they keep it, they have all your information on it. All you lost was a business card, which you were going to lose anyway. Whatever number they chose, you write that on one side, write the message on the other, pop it in, and you're all set to go. I'm going to show you guys another card trick now, but this is a little bit different because this card trick uses a prediction. I'm going to take my prediction, I'm going to leave it right over here. Now, at this point until the very end of the trick, I will not touch my prediction. You can make sure of that. Now, what did I predict? The card that you're about to take. Now, I mentioned before, some magicians, they'll try to manipulate your choice by holding the deck a certain way. I don't want you to think that I'm doing that. So I'm going to have you pick a card in a very fair way. I'm going to deal down one at a time, and anytime you want, you just say stop. So here we go. I'm going to deal down whenever you want, you just say stop. Stop. No problem. Could have stopped me one card earlier at the 10 of diamonds. You could have stopped me one card later at the 7 of clubs. You could have stopped me anywhere, but you didn't. You stopped me right here. Not at the 7, not at the 10. You stopped me right here. Now, ordinarily, I'd let you choose. Do you want to look at the prediction first or at the card first? Let's say you want to look at the prediction first. No problem. We'll leave the card over here. I'll open the prediction. Not the 7, not the 10. You didn't stop me at any of those cards. You stopped me here, and I predicted another envelope. Let's see. In here really is my prediction, which you would normally be opening. Another envelope. Now, in here is my final prediction. The card that I predicted was the 5 of hearts. The card you, in fact, stopped me at was the 5 of hearts. Now, before I give you the explanation for that trick, I'll tell you that there are not only 2 categories, but there are 2 large categories of card tricks. The first category, it's a pick a card trick. Take any card you want, free choice, and as soon as the audience member puts it back, you can find it using the key card, which we just learned, and there's a ton of fun ways to reveal it. That's the first category. The second category, it looks like a free choice, but I actually know in advance what card you're going to take, which means I can predict it, and I do that using a force. So the first category, which we learned, used a key card, which lets me find a card after you put it back. This trick used a force, which lets me predict it. So the question is, well, how did I force the audience member to stop at a certain card? So there are hundreds, probably thousands of different ways you can force a card. Some methods of forcing a card are really, really difficult. Take years of sleight of hand to practice and master. Other methods of forcing a card are very easy, like taking a full deck of 52 5 of hearts, saying pick a card, and technically I'm forcing you to take a specific card. Now, I didn't want to teach you that either because I didn't think that was very classy. I didn't want to teach you crazy sleight of hand, so instead, I combined those 2 methods, and this is what we have. From the bottom of the deck, looks like a regular deck of cards. But from the top of the deck, every other card alternates. Every other card is a 5 of hearts. And it goes like that all the way to the middle of the deck. See that? Every other card is a 5 of hearts. And that lets me do 2 different things that I couldn't do if they were all the same. The first thing I can do with this deck that I couldn't do if they were all the same is before the trick starts, I can say, I'm going to have you pick any card from this deck, and I can show you a nice chunk of the deck. Now, I don't want to go all the way to the middle, but I can show you a nice chunk of the deck. I'm going to have you pick a card. At the end of the trick, I go, you could have taken any one of these cards, and it looks really, really fair. The second thing that I can do with this deck that I couldn't do if they were all the same, I'll show you in a second. Now, I deal down, and I say, tell me when to stop. Now, I know every odd card is a 5 of hearts. 5, not 5, 5. So I count in my head, not 5, 5, not 5. Stop. If I'm holding a 5 and you say stop, I go, no problem. Now these are both even cards. So I'll say you could have stopped me 1 card earlier. You could have stopped me 1 card later. You could have stopped me at any of these cards, but you didn't. You stopped me right here. And because it's the odd card, it's a 5 of hearts. Now, let's say I'm dealing down. 5, not 5, 5, not 5, 5, not 5. They go, stop. I go, no problem. And then I give them the next card. So it's very important not to say point to the card that you want, because you're right, half the time they're going to point to the wrong, to an even card. So you say, tell me when to stop. So no matter if you're holding a 5 and they go stop, you put it to the side. If you're holding an even card and they go stop, you just drop it, you give them the next one. If I put down a 5 and they go stop, I just give them that one. If I put down an even card and they go stop, I give them this one. So it will always look fair as long as you know where the 5 of hearts are. So if I'm dealing down and I say, tell me when to stop, and I go like this, and you go stop, and then I go, that's your card. That doesn't look fair, right? I have to know at any point when they say stop, what card am I giving them? Am I giving them the card that's in my hand? Am I giving them the card that's over here? Whenever they say stop, it will always look fair as long as I know what card they're getting. So if I'm holding a 5 and they say stop, it goes to them. If I'm holding an even card and they go stop, I just drop it on the pile and I stopped when you asked me to stop. If I put a 5 down and then they go stop, they would get that one. If I put down an even card and they go stop, I just give them the next one. And then the other ones are always going to be even. And that's how it works. Now, the way you set this up is you have to buy 13 decks of cards. You take out the same card from those 13 decks. We actually have that set for you if you'd like, but that's how it works. And these really are regular bicycle cards. And I do that purposely to answer the question, well, what if someone asks to mix the deck? And it's a good question. It's not fair of me to say, don't worry, that will never happen, because sometimes people want to mix a deck. So my answer is to what happens if they ask to mix a deck is they already did. Now, this does not say trick deck of cards on it. This is a blue deck of bicycle cards, exactly the same as the other one. So when I do my key card trick first, I say mix the deck, shuffle it. I insist that they mix it. I do the trick and then I put it away. Or I put it to the side, or I do another trick in between. I say, you know what? Let me show you something else. And then I switch it for the trick deck. So to answer the question, well, what if they ask to mix a deck, is they already did mix it. Now you might say, you know what, that's great, do the key card trick first, but I just want to do just this trick. How do I get them to not mix it? So my answer would be, don't present this as a trick. Don't say, I'm going to have you pick a card. Then I'm going to prove that I knew what card it would be. Just jump right in. Say, I'm not going to have you pick a card like some boring magician. Instead, tell me when to stop whenever you want. You just jump right in. You don't give them a chance. But I think it's more impactful when you can actually have them shuffle the deck. So some people like the key card trick better because you can do it anywhere with anyone's deck of cards. Some people like the prediction trick better because there are some incredible predictions you can do with it. I like to do these tricks in conjunction. Do the key card trick, play some games with that deck, do some revelation tricks. Then, when no one's looking, switch it, and then you can do some cool prediction tricks. Now, in terms of the prediction, why do I have an envelope and an envelope and an envelope? I think it makes it a little bit more exciting. When you open an envelope and you find another envelope inside, there's no reason for that to happen unless something sneaky was about to happen. So the audience pays more attention. Usually when you do sleight of hand, you don't want the audience to pay such close attention. But here, the dirty work is already done. I want you to pay as much attention as possible. Maybe I have too many envelopes. I play around with it. You don't have to reveal it this way. You can take a manila envelope, write prediction on it, tape it on the wall, have everyone come in for a meeting. At the end of the meeting, you say, I know some of you were asking what that envelope is for. Let me show you. You take it, you do the trick exactly how I showed you, and you show that it matches. Another way you can do this trick, if you're at a restaurant, you take a napkin or a piece of paper, you write down 5 of hearts or whatever the card is, crumple it up into a ball, put under a glass cup, really classy look. You do the trick, and then you say, look at my prediction, and then you open it up. Another way you can do this trick is people ask you, how do you meet people using magic? So let's say you're sitting at the bar, you go to the person next to you, let's say you want to get their phone number, or maybe you have their phone number depending on what your goal is. You can say, what's your number? I want to text you a prediction. They give you your number, they give you their number, you already have your number. They give you their number, you don't say this out loud, but you text, we're going to have a lot of fun together. It was really great to meet you. By the way, you're going to choose a 5 of hearts, send. You go, did you feel that message? Yes? Okay, good. Don't check your phone. Watch. You do this trick exactly how I showed you. Tell me when to stop anytime you want, right there. Okay, you could have taken the 2, you could have taken the 9, whatever the 2 even cards are. Doesn't matter what they are, but you make sure that's what really sells this trick. You could have taken the 9, you could have taken the 2. What card did you stop me at? Now, of course, you already know what the card is. It's your force card, but you have to act. I don't know what it is. What card was it? 5 of hearts? Check your phone. Now that text message has been sitting there for 3-4 minutes. There's no way to manipulate it. There's no way you could have sent it afterwards. They look at their phone, 5 of hearts, and it's magic. Now if you ever drop this deck or accidentally mix it, just take those 13 force cards, alternate them from the top, and you're good to go. You can make it every even card if you want, as long as you know when they say stop, what card you give to them and what card you put on the pile. I know it's every odd card, the first card, the third card, the 5th card. You can change it to every even card as long as you know when they say stop, what card you give to them. Now when I teach this trick, a lot of times people ask me, well, Jeremy, what happens if they don't stop you before you get to the middle of the deck? It's a good question. And I purposely only set up the first half of the deck because remember, I want to show them a nice chunk of the deck before the trick starts. At the end, I want to show them a nice chunk. You could have taken any card you wanted, and it's very important for me to be able to have this really free handling. So the question stands, well, what if they don't stop you? So there are two things I do to prevent that from happening, to prevent them from waiting too long, and I have a backup just in case. I've never had to use the backup, but I'll give it to you anyway. The first thing that I do to prevent them from waiting too long is I give all the instructions beforehand. And I do feel like I need to explain why I'm having them pick a card in this admittedly funny way. It's to be fair, right? So I say, I'm gonna have you pick a card from this deck, right? I can show a nice chunk of the deck, but I don't want you to think that I'm gonna manipulate your choice. So anytime you want, you just say stop and it'll be really fair. Then I say, does that make sense? Do you understand? Because I don't want to start dealing down and saying, I'm going to deal down one at a time. Whenever you want, you say stop. So I give all the instructions beforehand. And I also don't want to deal down at like the 10th card. They go, wait, what am I supposed to do? So I give all the instructions beforehand. I check, does that make sense? Clear? Are you ready? Here we go. And then the second thing that I do to make sure they don't wait too long is I go very, very slowly. Now, I'm not going comically slow like this. 1, 2, right, I'm not going comically slow. The speed that I'm going is I say to myself, not literally, but I say to myself, Jeremy, I just explained why I'm having them pick a card in this admittedly funny way. It's to be fair. If I start dealing like this, tell me when to stop. That doesn't look fair. One, it's very hard for them to jump in and tell me when to stop, but it also might look like I'm sneaking a card out from the bottom or from the middle. It doesn't look fair, right? I want it to look and feel as if every card that I'm taking from the top, that's the card they could have stopped me at. And that translates to a pretty slow speed, like this. But they'll know anytime they say stop, they really stop me whenever they want it, and I can show the card on either side. Now, let's say they're just not stopping you, right? You get 18, 19, 20, 21. They're not stopping you. At a certain point before you get to the middle of the deck, you stop. Make sure there's a 5 of hearts on top. And you say, you gotta tell me when to stop. And you just start again, as if they didn't understand. If they're still not stopping you, it's like saying pick a card, and then they're just standing there. Let me think about it. Right? Obviously, this trick is not for them. Now, that's never happened to me. The furthest I ever got was about 18 or 19. And I got nervous. I was getting ready to do the reset. But then they stopped me, and they know they really stopped me whenever they wanted. Now, I've never had to do that reset, because when you're dealing down and you're doing that nice slow pace, it takes a good 20 seconds to get to that 10th card. And 80% of the time, I get stopped before I even get to that 10th card. Usually it's the 7th card, 8th card, 9th card. And the reason is because the person who's supposed to tell you when to stop, everyone's looking at them. Everyone's waiting for them. They feel this pressure. People are looking at them. Does she not understand what's supposed to happen? Why isn't she stopping him? Obviously, everything is fair. Sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's subconscious, but they're the center of the tension that entire time. And after the 3rd or 4th card, it's very obvious that this is a very fair procedure, and they're just going to yell stop, right? Now, some people, they assume, oh, the first time I feel like saying stop, maybe everybody does, so I'm going to purposely wait. And they still, even with that, you'll get to the 7th, 8th, sometimes 9th card. So as long as you don't go too fast, you also don't want to go too slow, but definitely important not to go too fast. They'll usually stop you sometime within the first 10 cards, but just in case you have a backup. I'm going to show you guys another card trick now, but this card trick's a little bit different because it only uses 2 cards. The red 8 and the black king. That's it. King of spades, 8 of hearts. 8 of hearts goes behind my back. Now all I have to do is shake it like this, and it switches places. The king's behind my back, and the 8's over here. I'll show you again. The red 8 stays exactly where it is. The king goes behind my back, and now all I have to do is shake it, and it switches places. The 8 is now behind my back, and the king is in my hand. So we're going to go over the secret to the 2-card card trick. Now, some people think the secret is that maybe I have extra cards in my back pocket or in my belt loop. That's not the secret. I really do only use 2 cards. The secret is that the 2 cards are trick cards. See, 1 card has 2 backs. 1 card has 2 fronts. Now, when I hold these 2 cards in 2 separate hands and go like this, Doesn't really make much sense. You can kind of see what's going on, kind of weird, kind of fishy. But when I take these two cards and I put them in the same hand and I turn that hand over and I kind of move my thumb back and forth and tap that card, really starts to look like two different cards. So if I show you the 8 and the king and I put the 8 behind my back, all I have to do to make the 8 switch places with the king is turn it over. They'll go, wait, where did the 8 go? I say, look, the 8's over here. Okay? So, do it again. I have an 8 and a king. King stays right where it is. The 8 goes behind my back. All I have to do to make it switch places is turn it over. And then I'll say, look, the 8's over here. Now, these are bicycle cards. So what I like to do is put them in whatever color it is, that color deck. Take out 52 cards, play some games, do some tricks. At some point, sneak these 2 cards out. Say, I'm going to show you something, but I only need 2 cards, the 8 and the king. And then you can jump right in. If I'm performing for kids, I might say something like this. I might tell a story. I might say, kids, I was playing this game and I could have taken an 8 or a king. Everyone said to take the king. I said, no, 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 no. I'm going to take the 8. They said, you should have taken the king. I said, don't worry, I know magic. I switched it when no one was looking. I did take the king. I left the 8 over here. So it's the same trick, but it could be fun when you tell a story with it. So when I have the king and the 8, you never want to turn the cards over in separate hands. You always want to keep them together. And when I go like this, you can kind of see what's going on. But when you slide your fingers back and forth and you tap that face down one, those subtleties really make it look like 2 different cards. So we learned how to take a pen, poke a hole through someone's $1 bill, $100 bill, $10 million check, and instantly fix it. We then learned how to take a $1 bill, turn into 100, 100 into 1, checks into money, or a 1 into a 10, depending on the situation. Just leave that thumb tip on you. We then learned how to take a regular deck of cards from anywhere in the world and find someone's card by reading their mind, feeling their pulse, smelling their finger, reading their eyes. We then learned how to take 4 business cards and prove that you knew exactly which card they would take before they even took it. We then learned how to take what looks like a regular deck of cards and do some incredible predictions, right? Hanging it up in an envelope, writing it down in advance, sending a text message to someone. We then learned how to take 2 cards and instantly make them switch places behind your back. So when I teach magic to kids, it's obviously different types of tricks, but I say, kids, practice all these tricks that we learned. Then take all these tricks and put them in a shoebox. Next time you have your family or your friends over, have them all sit in front of you, put this shoebox on a table, do these tricks one at a time, bam, you have your very own magic show. Now, I do not give that same advice for adults. And the reason is my goal is not for you to be an entertainer, it's to be entertaining. So I do recommend practicing all these tricks, see what does and doesn't fit your style. If there's a trick that you really liked, like that dollar bill manipulation, but you just can't figure out how it works, these instructions weren't clear, reach out to us, we'll make sure you get better instructions. If there was a trick like the pen trick that you really like, but you say, you know what, I can't perform that trick, I don't use pens, everything is digital, it doesn't make sense for me to use a pen, that's different. That means it doesn't fit your style. So definitely perform the tricks that fit your style. And the way you see what doesn't fit your style is to practice all these tricks. Keep the thumb tip on you, keep the pen on you, keep a deck of cards on you. So the next time you're at a restaurant with friends and the waiter's just taking forever, take out a deck of cards, do a card trick. Next time you have to give someone money, take the bill you need to give them, set it up, give them the wrong bill, let them point it out to you, switch it. Next time someone gives you money or an important piece of paper, poke a hole in it. So anywhere you are, no matter the situation, you'll always have something fun, interesting, unique, and magical to show them. I hope you guys practice. I hope you guys have fun, and thank you so much for watching.